Today there's a lot of talk in the media about us receiving permission for respective actions, but strikes are not carried out with words, such things are not announced. Missiles will speak for themselves. They certainly will. Glory to Ukraine.
And the reports come just 2 months before the end of President Biden's term. The move may offer Kyiv a chance to improve its negotiating position before the transition of power to President-elect Trump. Mr. Trump has repeatedly criticised the cost of American support for Ukraine and pledged to end the war quickly, leaving both Russia and Ukraine scrambling to improve their negotiating positions. The reports follow another wave of Russian drone and missile strikes across Ukraine, mostly targeting energy infrastructure. Ukrainian officials confirmed power cuts in multiple regions of the country and say at least 7 people were killed in a number of regions, including Lviv, Odessa and Mykolaiv. Now let's bring in retired Australian Army Major General Mick Ryan, who's now a Senior Fellow for Military Studies at the Lowy Institute and at the Washington-based Centre for Strategic and International Studies. Mick, welcome. Now, this would be a major policy shift to allow the use of long-range missiles supplied by the US to strike inside Russia. Can you explain how significant this could be?
Well, good morning. Unfortunately, it's not going to be very significant for Ukraine. They've been asking for these missiles for 2 years. The Biden administration has consistently dragged its feet over worries about World War III, and they've had to develop their own long-range strike systems and have been using them over that time. The only difference these missiles might provide is that they have a larger warhead than most Ukrainian long-range systems, but they're likely to only be in small quantities and probably still with restrictions on their use around Kursk, unfortunately.
So these are the ATACMS. Can you tell us a little bit more about them and Ukraine's experience with them?
Yeah, these are a long-range strike weapon. The Australian Army is actually getting these weapons as part of its HIMARS purchase. They go for, several hundred kilometres, have a very large single warhead, generally used for large logistics, troop concentrations, headquarters and these kind of targets. But unfortunately, the Russians have had a couple of years to prepare for this, and it's very unlikely that these weapons will change the trajectory of this war.
This change hasn't been confirmed by the White House as yet. The information is coming from anonymous sources. What do you make, though, of Ukraine's President Zelensky's response and also Russia's President Putin?
Well, the response from President Zelensky, he can't do anything official until there's some announcement from the US administration. And Putin, of course, as he has throughout this war, has used the term World War III, which President Biden has been obsessed with in this war. The reality is every time the US does provide weapons that Putin threatens World War III with, Russia does nothing. It'll be the same in this instance.
What do you make of the timing? Ukraine has been asking for this for months, as you say. Why now? And the fact that it also comes after US President-elect Donald Trump spoke to Putin and told him not to escalate the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, Putin's already kicked sand in Trump's face with that very significant large-scale rocket and drone attack on Ukraine over the weekend, just after Trump asked him not to escalate. So, at the end of the day, I think this administration decision from the United States is more about messaging North Korea than it is Russia. They still appear to be more worried about a Russian defeat than a Ukrainian defeat.
Now, with these latest attacks, Russia has launched 120 missiles, 90 drones in this large-scale attack across Ukraine. It's been one of the most powerful in 3 months. What do we know about how it was carried out and where was hardest hit?
Well, the Russians have adapted their tactics over the course of the war. Drones are generally used as decoys to then allow cruise missiles and ballistic missiles to strike key targets. Those targets here have generally been power generation and distribution targets, as well as civil infrastructure. The Ukrainians are facing a very grim winter indeed, with a very significantly reduced power generation capacity.
And now NATO member Poland says it's scrambled its air force and activated all available resources at its disposal. So has this latest attack changed the dial in terms of support? Because, of course, it comes in the wake of the first direct communication between Germany's leader Olaf Scholz and Vladimir Putin in almost 2 years.
Yeah, Poland, if there was a country that could be described as such, really is the person of the match in supporting Ukraine. The level of support they've provided Ukraine has really been extraordinary, because they know if Russia wins, Poland becomes the frontline state. And I've spent a lot of time in Poland in the last few years, and as some of my friends say to me, they know the price of appeasement, Poles in rail carts. So they're providing a lot of support. Unfortunately, Germany's Olaf Scholz has kind of gone against many of his European partners, spoken directly to Putin. That is not a very helpful thing to do at this point of the war.
Mick Ryan, thank you for your time.